and sisters and misses and misters, here's your daddy-o with the sounds to go. No shucking, no jiving, I'm telling you, your music's arriving. Ha ha, what I say.
Hey, I'm Largo. This is the Lair. Welcome to the Infinite Playlist with my buddy, Will. Hey, Will.
Hey, Jim. How are you?
I'm swell. I'm just waiting for the swelling to go down. How you doing?
Pretty good. About the same.
Cool. Well, we got a fun guest, another fellow YouTuber and toy and comic enthusiast who's given us a groovy playlist. Shall I introduce him?
Go for it.
All right. There he is.
Welcome, Robert. How are you?
Doing all right, guys. How about yourselves? I'm
Great.
I'm floored by that intro.
Good,
I'm
good.
just floored.
Yeah, that was a rocking intro.
Well, I'm glad you
And,
liked it.
That was cool.
Jim, should I go into this letter from management here before or after?
Yeah, let's
It is
get that
important
stuff out of the
to know.
way.
Yeah, they just want to remind you that Largo's
You should go.
Lounge Infinite Playlist it's broadcast in Largo, which is it's a special stereo surround setup here where we cannot play the music that we're talking about. But Jim has painstakingly prepared a playlist, which is in the description below. You could open another tab on your browser and you could play that playlist. Turn the volume down just low enough so you could hear us talking, and it really enhances this experience. I suggest you try it.
So Largo
I'm
is
sorry,
patent pending.
Yeah, it's not even a suggestion. It's actually a request from management. There's a memo here, and so that means it's official. Go do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
If it's in a memo, exactly. So Robert, Infinite Realms, former comic shop, current enthusiast of all things plastic goodness and comic goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your comic book shop days. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Well, I fell into some money and I said, what can I do that can probably fail? And I said, comics.
Yep.
And so I somewhat foolishly tried to do a comic shop. Not the best economy at the time, but it was a lot better than it was when I shut it down. I'll say that much. And
there's a lot worse ways you could spend your money, I'm sure.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I had a lot of fun with it. There were some moments there were some successes with it. Don't get me wrong. I make a joke, but I actually have a model of it right up here on my shelf.
Nice.
Oh, that's
a friend
awesome.
of mine gave that to me when I opened. And he he did the rest of the town based on my description. It looks nothing like that. But the comic shop, it looks 100% accurate because I had pictures of it.
Cool.
But it was just cool that he even did that.
Well, that's everyone's dream come true. So
Yeah.
you know, you've experienced that.
And I would never do it again. Because
well, it's something.
I mean, yeah, no, it was pretty painful and pretty hard, and I do admit I learned a lot. But you know, I remember the day when I finally shut the doors and I said, "Hey, I can be a fan again." That's cool.
When your hobby becomes a job, it takes a little of the luster and shine off. But
and it did.
You did. But that's where the moniker Infinite Realms comes from, is your former shop, which is cool. And that was
my wife's input, because
nice.
I was I was talking about doing a YouTube channel because I was just like, I'm rebuilding my collection. I'm having fun with that. I want to kind of share that with people, but I don't know what name to call my channel. And she goes, "You got the best name, Infinite Realms."
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I do, don't I? And it's your name. And I'm like, yeah.
And, we had to have the Infinite Realms on the Infinite playlist. That's like chocolate and peanut butter, man.
That's a good one. I like that. That's a great one.
So what are you into in your collecting? Are you into Star Wars or wrestling or superheroes, or just kind of a hodgepodge?
Well, I've got, I always say I got three main loves in my life were Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Marvel, and then wrestling. And a lot of people go, "Where'd that last one come from?" I'm like, dude, they're live action superheroes. Of course, they're going to be right beside the Marvels and DC, of course. But I will say DC is less than Marvel for me. Not that I hate DC. I don't like McFarlane. I can say that right now.
That's cool. Yeah, he turned off a lot of folks when he took over the DC Universe stuff, changed the scale and his articulation, and you already know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was one of the people. Yeah, but anyway, so right now I've been concentrating a lot on rebuilding my Marvel Legends collection, and I'm just about got the characters I want. I'll say it that way, unless they put out more. But who knows what they're going to do.
They tend to do.
I was going to say, I thought I was done and they pulled me back in. I like the 70s and 80s style costumes, and that was my era of reading. They've recently started putting out some homages to that. They put out a Wonder Man from the, his look from the 80s. They've got Luke Cage Power Man coming out with this big yellow shirt and stuff.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, I got to get those because they're cool.
That's me. I'm like, God, that Power Man is the first one they've updated since the Toy Biz days, and I mean and I love that figure, but still, it's like, Luke, you're getting old, buddy. Gotta go sit down, bud. Don't hurt yourself.
That's right. But I like those old classic ones.
I'm still very much into the smaller Star Wars and G.I. Joes, though. I don't get with those big ones, except for I did buy the set of original trilogy Black Series, but that was just, I thought, it's original trilogy. Come on. Yeah.
And they look cool on the shelf together.
Right.
Yeah. Were you into the big Joes or just the O-ring guys?
O-ring guys. Yeah. I had a couple of the big Joes when I was younger. I think because they were blank, they didn't resonate with me. I resonate a lot more with the name characters, Storm Shadow, Spirit. And if I do pick up any of the big Joes, that's the ones I pick up as the guys I know, the guys I love, and I'll throw them on. I just picked up Shipwreck a little while back, so that's a good example.
He's a classic.
Oh yeah,
I was kind of the other way around. I grew up. My first action figures, other than the Mego superheroes, were G.I. Joe, and it was like, well, you got the Air Adventurer and the Sea Adventurer and the Land Adventurer, and they're all Joe, and it's all cool, and you can make them whoever you want them to be. They're all cousins, they all look alike. It's all good. But when go ahead,
I did have some of those. I liked them. I don't know. I guess it was just after Star Wars, I needed a story. You know, after that, I just I needed a story to really get my attention. I don't know if that's a sign of short attention or what.
No. We've been having a lot of fun since I started. I just recently started getting back into the 12-inch guys, and I got introduced to the Axis of Awesome, which is a collection of YouTubers that collect and restore and refurbish vintage 12-inch Joes, and they do stories. They'll do photo stories, and they'll make plot lines and stuff. So they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they live up to the name. They are awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I will admire that stuff all day long. I do like it. I mean, it's just like, okay, collecting it.
Well, that's the thing. So yeah, just like you, Robert, I'm really into that. The O-ring, GI Joes, Star Wars, all things 1/18 scale is my where I live. But I share, I live vicariously through Jim. With his mission here, with the adventure team and everything, and I'm having a lot of fun. So it's cool, it's nice.
And vice versa, I get to watch Will, making cool 118 stuff, and I'm like, you can't find that in my scale. He's like, I know, that's why I'm a 118 guy. So I like watching the stuff he comes up with. For vehicles and play sets, 118's the place. For the bigger stuff, it's a challenge because shelf space is at a premium. But I could talk toys and comics all night, but we're here to talk some music. Let's see what we got in the dossier. We got some classics here. Right off the bat, we'll just run through the list there real quick. A couple cover songs I wasn't aware of, but I was aware of the artists. A couple of new ones on here I didn't know of, like Iron City House Rockers. Those are fun. And a lot of old classics. So a good eclectic list. We like that.
Yeah, before we started, since my daughter was there, I just have to say it for when she's older and watches this, I did not put Queen Radio Gaga on there because this is Daddy's list, not yours.
Nothing wrong with Little Queen, but okay, so that's her favorite. All right.
Oh yeah, she will. I mean, she doesn't react to too many songs, but almost anything Queen she reacts to.
Fair enough.
Yeah, she's just like, oh boy, Queen, and
hey,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, they
Freddie Mercury and the boys. Yeah, they're good. Goo Goo Dolls, another interesting one. Kind of big back in the 90s. What got you into the Goo Goo Dolls? Just heard them on the radio and.
Well, now it's kind of funny because the Goo Goo Dolls is like an example of a band. I thought, talk about ruining it after you get big, because. I actually at this point I worked in a volunteer radio station. And there was about 4 of us that did rock and roll at the station. And we would just trade off music. And I had heard of the Goo Goo Dolls, but I hadn't heard their earlier stuff. And there was a guy, Ray was his name. And he goes, "Oh, you like the Goo Goo Dolls?" I'm like, "Well, they're all right, but I mean, they're trying to sound like Nirvana." He's like, "Well, here, try this." Handed me Superstar Car Wash. And I was blown away. I was like, this is that same band? What the heck? That's 10 times better. And then I found Hold Me Up as well. And, it was, and I was just sitting there. I had a couple of their songs on the list. And when I did my list, I had like 50 songs and something. And I do love Superstar Car Wash. I admit that is like one of my all-time favorite albums. It's just such a high energy album and everything in it. And my joke has always been, oh, look, they're trying to sound like the Replacements. They're not trying to sound like the Nirvana here.
Yeah.
But
their earlier stuff is definitely more appealing. Yeah. I would say
this one I always, but 2 Days in February I always loved because it's a slow mellow song which is unusual at that time in their career. And on top of that, you can hear the cars going by as they're recording it because they're out on the road. And that cracked me up. It's just like you just hear whoosh.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard that on a rock track ever since or before. I may be wrong about that, but I always loved that about that. And I just thought it was a good song. I mean, I heard a studio recording of it once, and this is still a good song, but the cars enhance it.
Yeah. You know, there is something to be said for, you know, I'll like a song by an artist, but sometimes there's a particular recording of it, whether from a live show or it's from a, you know, private session where it's just the guys kind of, you know, hammering stuff out before they put it on a record. Some of those tracks, when you find them, there's just something about it that's a lot cooler than the, you know, the highly produced version.
I got one of those on this list too, but I'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Goo Goo Dolls, 2 days in February. Check it out. It's in the playlist, which is where, Will?
Oh, you just go down in the description there. You click on that playlist, tune it in perfectly. You can hear the sound of my voice and enjoy.
That's it. Bada boom, bada bing. You're there.
That's all you gotta do.
And then moving on to some classic Willie Nashville sound kind of stuff. You know, I haven't heard a lot of his more recent covers and things. Very interesting. I liked his take on this old Cyndi Lauper tune.
Oh, I did too. I the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, that is so different, but so good. And the mandolin comes in somewhere there towards the middle, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Nice.
And, you know, I heard that, and I put this one on the list specifically because this was a song that I think really hit the lesson home. I knew this, but it really hit me home that you don't have to do a song exactly the same every time. You can do something different. And this is so different than what Cyndi Lauper or most anybody who ever covered that song did. But it's really, really good and really, really powerful. It's even more powerful because of that.
Willie's a great songwriter in his own right, and I'm sure he did his own arrangement, and it shows in the performance. So The Great Divide was his 50th studio album. This man's been cranking out the hits since.
I did not know that was his 50th album. I'm not surprised at the same time.
I remember some of his early vinyl back before he had the beard that was in my dad's collection. Back when he did an album called Nashville Rebel, I think. And he had that look of all the, you know, cowboy crooners. He had the pompadour and the shaved face and wearing a suit. And it was like, that's Willie? It's like, yep. But he's been in the business for a long, long time. And he's played with everybody and wrote songs for everybody too. But Great Divide came out in 2002. He did a lot of duets on this with people from all over, different genres. Matchbox 20 and Leanne Womack, Kid Rock, Sheryl Crow, Brian McKnight, Bonnie Raitt. I like Bonnie. And just recently,
Bonnie too.
2023 performed 2 concerts at the Hollywood Bowl celebrating his 90th birthday. Dude is still rocking in his 90s. Yeah,
he is.
And it's that clean living, I tell you. And he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So quite a pedigree. Absolutely. Have you heard this cover, Will?
No, I haven't, and I'm intrigued. I'm really looking forward to checking this out because
you should. Will this is
really cool.
This was really cool. Yeah, it really showed me how powerful that song is. You know, it's really the best way I can say it. It just showed me how powerful that song is, and
yeah, because sometimes old pop song, the lyrics just get washed out with all the production stuff. And I liked the original Cyndi Lauper version, but yeah, listening to this one, you get a new respect for the song. Yeah, and I dig that. I'm always enjoying being surprised when I see favorite artists doing something different or something with a new spin on it. And you know, you guys keep bringing these suggestions to us on the playlist, and I keep learning new stuff. So it's keeping me on my toes. Speaking of Cyndi,
there she is.
Anytime I do anything with music, I have to mention Cyndi Lauper, and there's a very crazy reason why. The woman gave me a real life gift when I was 12, 13, something like that. I'm hanging with the crowd. It's like AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, da-da-da. You know, we're not going to be the establishment kind of thing. You know, this real anti-establishment, sort of punkish kind of group.
Yep.
And Cyndi comes out. And I'm listening, and I'm like, oh God, I hate to admit it, I really like this "Girls Don't Want to Have Just Want to Have Fun" song.
It's catchy.
Dude, yeah. And then I see her, and I'm like, man, is that a waffle shaved into her head? It's, like there's some streaking blonde long before streaking was what the people down in the suburbs do. I mean it was all over the place, and I was like, wow, she's crazy looking. And I just finally said, God, I like this song, guys. And they're like, no, man, you can't do what the establishment, you can't do what pop culture tells you to do. It's like, I thought that was the point of what we are, is like, we're going against that. And I can't remember my friend's response, because it was like, 12-year-old kids, but it was something it was something translatable to the effect of, yeah, but not that way.
You got to be different like everybody else.
Yeah, I got to be different like everybody else. Now, keeping this in mind, I'm 12, 13, and I suddenly realize being a nonconformist ends up conforming to another conformity, and now I'm walking into high school.
Man, that's some pretty deep stuff for a guy hitting puberty,
Yeah, I know. It's like, and I always say Cindy gave me that gift, because it was like, and then I always love Cindy too, because right after that she gets involved in wrestling, and
sure,
oh yeah,
Roddy Piper kicks her, and that's when I knew wrestling was fake, because if Roddy Piper had really kicked her, the police would have tackled him and drug him out of the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that she had Captain Lou Albano in some of her video stuff. That was fun.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I like some of the old punk and some of the countercultural stuff that came out. And now I'm in my 50s, and every once in a while I'll be somewhere and you'll hear it like as elevator music. It's like,
yeah,
did they really do that? No.
Yep.
Come on. God, I'm getting old.
I picked this song. This is really my favorite song by Cindy. I Drove All Night. I just feel her delivery and the way the beats and everything. I did not know until you showed me this slide, though, that Roy Orbison's version came out after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was written for Roy, but he just didn't get around to recording it until just before he passed.
Right.
And yeah, so it was released after hers, but both are good.
I like Roy's. I really like Roy Orbison's version, and I was but I mean, at that time it was like, you find out, oh, that was a cover, okay, and oh, that was a cover, okay. I just thought it was another cover, and I just didn't know about it.
Yeah, it's cool. When you scratch the surface, you find out a lot of songs you like from popular artists. Mm-hmm. Other popular artists either wrote it or performed it at a different time. So they kind of pass things back and forth, but everybody puts their own spin, like we were talking about with Willie. They do a different arrangement, find a way that make it their own. This is one of those.
Right. Yeah.
So this was on her, which album is this? A Night to Remember originally, and then it's been on her greatest hits albums as well. Fun one.
It is. I just really loved it. I just really loved.
Yeah. Always loved Cindy. Just weird, wonderful. She was all over MTV back in the day with the videos and in wrestling. And, I can't recall ever. I've always, when I see her name or hear one of her songs, I remember I've always liked it. I can't remember ever, maybe having to pretend I didn't like it, but maybe I did. I don't remember.
But yeah, good stuff. Cyndi Lauper. Another gentleman who, he did covers of himself. He would just reinvent himself every 5 minutes. You never knew which version of David Bowie would show up. Cactus is a very interesting sound from him. Who was the original on this one?
Pixies.
Pixies, that's right.
Yeah, that's why I picked it, because I was a huge Pixies fan at one time. I still am, but and when you do a cover like this, you get a cheat, pick two artists. But anyway,
yeah, 2 for 1.
I love the story on this was Black Francis, aka Frank Black. I don't know why he does both of those, but anyway, when he was told Bowie was wanting to do a cover of his song, he
Mm.
freaked out. I mean, in a good way.
Yeah.
But then he got so intimidated because it's like Bowie was one of his influences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, imagine one of your influences says, "Hey, I'm going to cover your song." And you're like,
yeah, he did. And he didn't just cover one, he covered 3 Pixie songs. And
yeah,
all of them are great.
And I really liked his take. I really like Bowie's take on it because there's very subtle things he does in the song that is different from the Pixies. I mean, there's some very obvious things too, like he brings up the volume of the verses and kind of tones down the chorus, but there's still, it's like low, high kind of thing that, is pretty much the basis of original alternative and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But,
and yeah, he's got a great style and it just comes through on this track,
Yeah. And
it's very much, he definitely made it his own,
and when he passed in 2016, I keep saying, he was holding the fabric of reality together because we ain't recovered.
Yeah. A lot of those original artists, man, today's music, they just don't seem to have a lot of those same kind of guys showing up.
No,
not those pioneers that would test the limits of what you could do with sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they'll come back around. Who knows? One of these days we'll get some artists that aren't produced in a studio by a corporation, but that's a story.
You're speaking my language. Yeah, you're speaking my language. Yeah, but anyway, and of course the Pixies. I just love the Pixies. What was it? What's the joke? Is like, yeah, the Pixies only sold 2,000 albums, but everybody that bought one started a band.
There you go. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely inspirational.
Right.
So, then we move on to another pace setter, groundbreaking kind of fellow, Prince.
Yeah, and another reason why 2016 is my least favorite year. Yeah, because that's when he passed.
Yeah.
It was funny. I really just now realized back on the Goo Goo Dolls, there is a cover of "Never Take the Place of Your Man" on "Hold Me Up."
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, I just now realized that.
Check it out.
Yeah, I had not even realized it. But anyway, I always like this song because it's one of those. It's like, well, I've sort of lived it, not quite the same lyrics, but
yeah.
I
like songs that tell a story, and this one,
right.
It's he's painting this image of a woman seeking a man to replace the man that's gone, and Prince is just like, no, you would not be satisfied with a one-night stand. You need me all the time or never at all. It's like, damn, that's some swagger, man.
That is, and I like the energy of the song too, and it's like,
yeah,
I've always been a pretty big Prince fan. It's just, but the higher energy songs are the ones I really like. A lot of people go, "Oh, I like Purple Rain." I'm like, and Purple Rain's fine. That's cool, but I always like "Let's Go Crazy," "Never Take the Place of Your Man," stuff like that. That's the stuff I wanted to listen to.
And this had some interesting arrangements with the drums. Having the different drum machine patterns going. Has 2 different guitar solos. I mean, it's trippy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he had a lot of really interesting arrangements with his music. So sometimes you don't even realize it till long after you've listened to it.
Wife is a huge Prince fan, and I gotta say, while I didn't have much experience with it, growing up or during the time, I have come to really appreciate and love everything he does. So
very cool, and keen fashion sense too.
Right.
And awesome motorcycle riding skills. He's got the skills, man.
And then a whole different genre here. Old school Run DMC, Rock Box.
I usually have to say at some point about a conversation about music, I think the reason I don't like rap is because I started off with the best, and that was Run DMC.
Hey,
and after that, everything just couldn't measure up.
I do. Yeah. I like Run DMC. I like Houdini. I like a lot of those early guys that really started, making rap something. And then it just kind of went, it evolves. Music evolves.
It sure
So
does.
it's not
Yeah.
not really my cup of tea these days. But like you, yeah, I like the old school stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
absolutely, I Run DMC is like, you hate rap. I'm like, yeah, but I love Run DMC, man. I
there you
mean,
go.
I mean, I cannot explain it. When this is on, this is my favorite Run DMC song too. But when this is on, I sometimes like with King of Rock or whatever, I'll go along with it and sing along with it. I can't with this because I get so into the rhythm and the beat and everything about it that I'm like just sitting here going, I'm doing the white boy dance, and
Mhm.
I'm like in the video. And I have two funny stories about bookend stories almost about that guitar riff.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I want to say 14, but I might be wrong. Um, we set up a little dirt pile to jump over a small creek, and
Nice.
the rap kids are down the road, and that's the first time I heard this song, and I kind of got distracted by it. I was like, "What's that? That sounds good," and I hit the ramp right as that guitar riff hits, dun, 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 but I hit it perfectly. And do this like amazing BMX, jump that I
Nice.
never have done a million years in my life, and landed. And I'm like, my friends are going, "How'd you do that?" And I'm like, I don't know.
It's like,
You just say, I
yeah.
meant to do that. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Flash forward 20, 25 years or something. I'm playing GTA Vice City, and there's a mission. You have to drive up, hit a staircase, use it as a ramp, and jump over on top of a roof.
Wow.
And I was not paying attention to the radio, because you can play the radio in the game. All of a sudden, Rockbox comes on right when I hit that ramp. It's like surreal. It's like, dun, 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 dun. Like Evel Knievel. I'm like,
I think we figured out your superpower. You just
Yeah,
need
it's like-
Rockbox playing nonstop.
Yeah.
That riff plays, you could lift a bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's it.
and I was just like, I don't know. I just thought those two things were really funny, and instantly that jump from when I was a kid came into my head. Of
Nice.
course. Yeah. So yeah, that's my little bit.
Yeah, and Rockbox was one of their early tunes. It was actually kind of one of the things that made them popular even before their first album hit.
Right.
And
I remember it so vividly too. I just remember I'm like going, I don't know what this is, but it's great. That's all I could remember was this is great. We didn't even have a word for it then. It was just,
most people, who aren't into rap, know them from their crossover with Aerosmith, and that's a cool song. And
it is,
it was very innovative in its time. Now crossovers are pretty commonplace, but back then that was kind of unheard of. And the video was cool, and it really showed people like these guys are legit musicians. Say what you want about rap, but they were not afraid to put themselves out there and mix it up with any kind of musician. So,
and I argue that song, "Walk This Way," I actually argue that song revitalized Aerosmith.
Aerosmith,
yeah. I thought for sure they were on the outs at that point.
Yeah, I mean they still had a following, but yeah, it definitely gave them a good revival, made them relevant and current. But yeah, cool stuff. Check out any of this, not just Rockbox, but everything from that debut album is just awesome.
That debut album is probably one of my top 20 favorite albums.
Yeah, it's good. Another old school Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Just kind of stuff you hear in a country bar, and in my neck of the woods growing up. This was a kind of a standard. Every jukebox had some Bob Seger in it.
Yeah, and that's funny too, because like I was telling you, we worked in a radio or volunteered in a radio station. I shouldn't say work because we didn't get paid. But after a while, I mean, love Bob Seger, but after a while, some of his older stuff, you get burned out really easily.
There's a sameness to it.
Yeah. This album came out, and it was so fresh And that's kind of why I wanted to put on here was it was like, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize Bob Seger's later stuff like this. He did a cover track of Lou Reed's "Busload of Faith" to get Busload of Faith. It was really good.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And but this, I thought the first time I heard it, so soulful. And I mean, it's very simple. It's kind of telling a story about a guy just trying to get a fix and gets a, you know, it doesn't turn out good for him. And you know, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, I love the guitar work in it, and I love how it flows. And it's so un-Bob Seger, but yet it's so Bob Seger. Yeah. I mean, it really rubs against the grain, and then when at the end of it, you're like, no, that's Bob Seger. That's it. That's right.
Yep. And it's a mystery, even though Silver Bullet Band is credited on the label, they weren't on every track.
I didn't think they were.
Yeah, they were on several of the tracks in the album, but he was working with some other studio musicians, magicians, and other friends, and trying other things. And so there was some experimental stuff on this album for sure. And this was his last album before he took a hiatus. He decided he was getting out of the game, going to spend some time with his family, and he was off the radar for a long time. I don't remember exactly when he came back. I think it was about a 10-year break, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long one. I didn't even know he had come back, and then somebody played me that Busload of Faith cover, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so, Bob Seger covering Lou Reed. Yes, sign me up.
Yes, please.
But I didn't want to put that one on the list because how many cover tracks have I done already? I mean, come on.
We could do a whole show just on covers, man. We've done theme songs and you know, any kind of
songs are covers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, some of mine are too.
What's fun is when you find covers that you didn't know were covers. Everybody's like, well, that's his song. It's like, no, he's covering, you know, the guy that did it 10 years ago. It's like, really?
Right.
Yep. That's especially true in, you know, a lot of the old blues standards and some R&B stuff.
Right, exactly.
This is a band I did not know about, and this was a welcome surprise. Iron City House Rockers. Hadn't heard of them, but cool sound. I love the whole album. I checked this one out.
I always argue the Iron City House Rockers might be one of the hidden gems that seems nobody's ever heard of. Yeah. And then when they hear it, it's like, wow. I'm gonna take the opportunity to mention a whole bunch of stuff. There is "Have a Good Time and Get Out Alive" is a really great song. I used to say that used to be my, you know, goodbye to people. You know, it's like, hey, have a good time but get out alive. You know, and what's funny is I started picking that expression back up, and I said it to my my 14-year-old daughter, and my wife looked at me and said, "What the hell did you just say?"
It's a song quote. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a song quote. She goes, "What?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you don't know who the Iron City House Rockers? Hold on, let me go get it." And there was another one they did called. I actually found out about them. Well, like I said, we were in the radio station together. There was this one guy. He was in his late 30s, early 40s, and he had albums upon albums. I mean, he could never bring in his whole record collection.
Nice.
And one day,
the kind of guy that has like big old milk crates full of records he just bring in when he do his session.
But
nice.
He also had tons of CDs, and then he had, I guess, an anniversary CD from the Iron City House Rockers. I don't really know much about it. And he brought it in. He's like, "Here, listen to some of this." And I'm like, going, "This is pretty good stuff. What is this?" And so that's kind of how I got introduced to him. And then Joe Kraszewski of the who's the lead singer. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. All this time, I've never known.
Works for me.
He did a song called "Dark and Bloody Ground" that was about mining towns in Kentucky. I don't know why I might relate to that.
Yeah.
And it's got one of the best lines ever. It says, "If Jesus was born in Kentucky, they would have made him pay for his nails, and the worst yet, they would have made him pay off his debt down in the hell." Talking about the mine. And I just went, that is the most outlaw bluegrass thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
But it was very much a rock song. It was really cool.
Yeah. And, you know, like I did some research on these guys and they were very well received critically. People liked what they were doing, but
Yeah.
outside of the Rust Belt area, you know, most people never heard of them, including me.
Right.
Very, very blue collar, very much, you know, working man's kind of songs. And the one you chose, it's 2 tracks, but it's really just, it's a 2-part medley. It's Old Man Bar and Junior's Bar. And you can, they just play into each other. You start with Old Man Bar and just let it run into Junior's Bar, and good storytelling, just good stuff to put on. You're like, yeah, you get a vibe, you get a mood of what's going on in the song. And I like that.
Yeah. It's, that was probably my first exposure to Iron City House Rockers was Old Man Bar and Junior's Bar. And I just remember hearing it going, what? And when it switches, I was like, what? And yeah, I was just like, oh, wow, that's great and crazy and weird at the same time. And
yeah, you can close your eyes and you can smell, you can smell the stale cigarette smoke from the bar, and you can taste that, you know, the cheap tap beer, and it's all in there. Yeah. I think you'll enjoy this one, Will. They're all the stuff on this album I really liked.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would actually invite Jim, have you listened to any other stuff of theirs?
Just this album, but I'm gonna go back and check out some other stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would highly suggest, you know, just give these guys a shot. I mean, they're interesting.
Yeah. Everything you've said so far is right up my alley. And,
right.
You know, I'm chomping at the bit to get into this. So.
Cool. Yeah, and with the miracles of modern technology, you can look up obscure songs or songs of guys you hadn't heard of pretty easy now. And a lot of this is on you know, YouTube and Spotify and all these different sites. Wherever you get your music from, you can probably dig these guys up. They're there. So they are in the description below as well. So do check them out, please. Another classic, well, classic to me. I mean, Social Distortion, you know, it's probably where I first started getting these guys and some of the other guys that came out around that same time in the punk scene. Very influential, you know, good stuff. How do you explain Social Distortion? They're not really angry, but it's like there's an angst to their music. Well, I don't even know if angst is the right word, but it's like they're singing about life. Rough times. Yeah,
but there's an anger to it, but it's like it's not just like, you know, oh, scream, yell, and holler. It's like it's like there's a justification behind it, and a reality behind it.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys lived what they sang. I mean, they went through some hard times, went through rehab, all that good stuff. You know,
so
came out the other end of it and are still making music.
So, you know, that's one thing I really like about this song is, and the one, you know, I was telling you, there was a certain performance I really liked, and that's the one I gave to you, or the one I said, here's this one. And there's a real reason in the song itself. You know, it starts out really like, kind of like this romantic idea of prison, like we get from most music. It's like, yeah, I'm going to prison, but it's by the moonlight and and I'm just going to be a tough man and And then lyrically, there's a shift after in the second verse, and it gets tough and cold and mean. And, you know, he says it's tough and it's claiming it's cold as a pimp's heart, but I got to do my time. I love that line. You know, I mean, and there's like the reality set in.
And this particular I guess they call it what, guitar session.
Yeah.
The one that we've got linked to this performance, it's definitely better than the version that's on the album. Both are good, but there is something better.
I had heard Social Distortion do that in live shows before, but it's always that transition because it starts out real mellow. This time the music and the lyrics, that's what I like about it. The music and the lyrics reflect each other.
Yeah.
Because it has that old timey sound, and it's like going to the place where the tough guys go, you know, and then shifts tonally, heavy guitar, everything. But usually when they try to do that shift, it's very clunky. This has the smoothest version of that transition I had heard, and that's why I kind of put it out there, was because it's like I cannot find a performance that has that smooth of a transition other than that one.
Yeah, I agree. I've listened to both versions, the one that was on the album, and then I listened to the cut that you recommended, and I definitely like that live performance version better.
Yeah, Social Distortion itself is always better live. I've always found.
That makes sense. I mean, a lot of guys they just get a vibe when they're on stage together.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like with the Grateful Dead. You know, I've heard their studio stuff, and it's not bad. But when you see them live, or you see a recording of a live performance, there's a magic there that's just different. You know, so
exactly.
Very cool song.
That you can listen to live, and it's better than the album. There's not every band is better seeing them live. And a live performance, whether it's recorded, you can pick it up later. You know, those are the ones that you'll remember for the rest of your life. You know, when you're there witnessing it. So,
yeah,
always
that's definitely true. And it's a good way to know if you've got a band that really knows their stuff, because not everybody can perform live and do it well. It takes a certain talent that, you know, I would say anybody, most musicians could do well in a studio with an engineer, but can you do it live in front of an audience and hold it together? And another Social Distortion, Ball and Chain, classic.
Now, what I was telling you before, you know, when I put my list together, I had 50 songs, and, you know, like 12 of them were the Goo Goo Dolls, and like I think 15 were Social Distortion. So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
We've never done a deep dive just on one particular band, but we could do that. You know, you're certainly welcome to come back again. We'll do another playlist. And
that would be fun.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do a deep dive on one of your favorite bands. Okay.
Ball and Chain, though, is very special song to me. It's you know, you said it, it's a hard luck story. It's a forceful cry. It is my I have had enough song. You know? That's what it is. It's my I have had enough song, and it's that opening line. It's been 10 years and 1,000 tears, and look at the mess I'm in. Broken nose and a broken heart, and an empty bottle of gin. I'm like, yep, that's there. I'm there. And
it's like when you're listening to some of those old country songs, it's like, God, they're talking about everybody in my family.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that last verse, past the bar on my way to my empty hotel room. Can you tell I listen to this song a lot?
Yeah.
And I've spent all my money, been drinking since noon, wake up in the morning, maybe in a county jail. I mean, that is the most outlaw country song line I've ever heard. I absolutely love it. And
their early stuff was very punk, and then they kind of went more of a bluesy rock sound, which I like better. You know, I like their early stuff, but this stuff, it speaks to where I come from, you know, and I dig the stories that they're telling. I love the artwork on this this particular album cover. Just very, very evocative of, you know, the kind of stories they're telling, kind of a noir flavor to it. The girl that done me wrong kind of thing.
Oh, I love
it. This I did not know until I started doing some research for this playlist.
Me either.
Their logo, you know, everybody's seen the cigar with the cocktail, you know, or the cigarette and the cocktail with the skeleton. That was actually done by a buddy of theirs as a New Year's Eve party invitation, and they liked it. And it's like, can we use that? It's like, yeah, whatever, man. And that just kind of became their thing. It's like, who knew?
Yeah.
But
if I ever had a theme song, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, you know, it's funny too, because when I put this after I put this together, and, you know, I went back and after I sent it to you and re-listened to it, and I realized I had not listened to this since we had a flood here last year. It was really bad. And I had not listened to it since that flood, and I listened to it with my I've had enough thought, and boy, I felt a weight lifted afterwards. Really did. Yeah.
Good music is cathartic, and you know, Mike Ness, he lived it. He wrote the songs based on his life, and he went through some hell.
And you know, the other thing is I was thinking about this as I was doing that, as I was going through that. The final verse is not the final verse to me, and I didn't even realize it. The final verse where it says, "I'm going to lose, I'm destined to fail," and then it goes into the chorus, and then it goes into the guitar. And I always felt the guitar was the final verse, and it's a little bit more uplifting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, and I never realized that until this time listening to it again. Listen to this song since, I'll say I found it in 91. I've listened to this song all the time since 91. I find out something new about it now. So, I mean, there you go.
That's fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Did you listen to some Social Distortion in your wild and frivolous days, Will?
Not much, no, but I do. What I have heard, I do like. Yeah.
Very cool. You'll definitely like this one if you haven't. You'll probably hear it and it's like, oh yeah, I remember it. It's one of those.
Yeah,
it's like you may not know the name, but you know the song.
Yeah, there was a lot of like when I was younger, just mixtapes floating around, and not many liner notes, So there'd probably be songs that I enjoyed, but I even thought were a different band completely. And later on, I was trying to find them out, and I'm like, oh, that's who that was. I had no clue.
Yep.
So.
Yeah,
they've
definitely
it's also been in, I want to say it was in the movie Three Kings.
Maybe.
It's just
been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, I want to say that's a movie. It's just kind of playing there. It's like if you're kind of like watching more of the movie, you probably will miss it. But I know it's in a movie. It's in at least two movies. One of them adds the same plot as Three Kings in.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. But it's funny how a lot of soundtracks, there's songs but they kind of you don't really pick up on it while you're watching the film unless you go back and watch it again. And
right.
I'll have to check that out. But yeah, can't recommend Social Distortion highly enough. All their stuff is good. And I'd say Ball and Chain, if you've ever had that experience where you've had enough is enough, this is your anthem. Definitely. So that is our playlist, gentlemen. And
a lot of awesome
very cool
stuff, man. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely some new infinite streams to go down, some places to explore. And that's what this is all about. So thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said, the things I'm familiar with are, like you said, you even just reconnecting to something you haven't heard in a long time can bring back and kind of reinvigorate that love for an artist. So totally awesome.
Yeah. And I really enjoy Robert's kind of homespun style with his YouTube. He's at Robert's Infinite Realms 1308 on YouTube. He does some toy reviews and just kind of talks about whatever tickles his fancy, and I dig it. So check out his channel.
Seems like my kind of guy. You got toys and you like to talk. That's me, and that's about all my friends as well. So
it's like our buddy Chad's fond of saying, it's like, you like stuff? I like stuff. Let's like stuff together, man.
Yeah, I love Chad. Chad is so much fun. I try to talk to him when I can. He's real busy. I'm real busy, so
But we're hoping to get him and his cohort Jeremy from Joe's on Joe's back here in the playlist sometime in the near future. We always have a good time hanging out with those guys.
Oh yeah,
and definitely some music aficionados. They know a lot of cool stuff about the behind the scenes. It's kind of neat to hear too.
Yeah, I really liked his episode with the playlist that he did with you guys. Really cool. That might have been one of the first ones I watched.
He was one of our first guests, pretty much. I think
the second or third. I think. He was.
Because
early on,
the Black Knight from Hella Dope inspired the show. And then I think Chad was probably the next one right after that.
Did you see Black Knight on Sunday explaining how you were taking notes when he was like telling you how to do your hat? And oh my God, those guys crack me up.
So if you didn't know, the hat, the rooster, it's all Black Knight. It was all him.
Yeah,
I
The show kind of works for me, but it could use a little more rooster. And he actually sent Jim a rooster, and Jim
there you
did
go.
that. And then he was like, Jim, the baseball cap, it's okay, but you might want a more iconic hat. And yeah, he really did.
That's it.
But you know what? It's reciprocal because I
Oh,
remember sitting down with Theodore and saying, "Hey, shorten that up. Just go with Ted." I was like, "What's cooler than Batman? Batman with claws, Dark Claw." And he
There
was
you
like,
go.
He was Theodore Batman, and I was like, "Ted Dark
I thought
Claw, buddy."
I thought he was going by Teddy White Claw before you got a hold of him.
He was.
And
Teddy
he's like,
White
lose the
Claw.
White
That's
Claw,
it.
man.
That's
Come
what
on.
it was, and I was like, "Try Ted Dark Claw," and he was like, "I'm gonna write."
And a
that
star,
down.
Star
Yes,
was born.
and a star was born, and
Well,
they were hella whack toys, and we were like, guys,
I
hella whack. I mean, come on now, try hella dope. I think
There
that
you
was
go.
Jim's suggestion, right?
Yeah,
You said
probably.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love busting their chops. They're fun guys. So
yeah,
we'll have
love
them on the
them.
playlist again sometime in September. So
feel like
that'll be
I
cool.
feel like they love getting their chops busted because it's like maybe somebody will start give us money.
Yeah.
We're always having a good time.
We'll give a shameless plug. Buy your toys from Hella Dope when you can. They're good guys. They have really quick shipping, and
Oh my god, the
just
shipping's
cool.
ridiculous, and you know
Yeah.
what? They're wrapped so well. I had to struggle to unwrap the toy and open it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, it's just too perfect.
He
It was
wa-
like seeing.
yeah. Ted takes
perfection.
pride in making sure it gets to your house in one piece. And
I was
if
like,
you're
dude,
really special, he'll lick the package for you. So
they lick
that's
every
a little
package.
bonus.
Yeah.
Do they
yeah.
really?
And
Nice.
well, I was besides myself. I was like, this is perfection. This is art. How do I ruin this? And after a couple shots, I worked up the courage and I ripped that sucker out and opened it up. But
There you go.
it took a while.
Well,
Yeah, no,
Robert,
I'm
thanks for hanging with us, and please come back, and
Oh, God,
we'll do another
absolutely.
playlist. So,
Absolutely.
if you want to do a deep dive on Social Distortion or Goo Goo Dolls or whatever, we're up for it. If you just want to
cool.
bring in a whole different playlist of stuff to test our musical knowledge, that's fine too. So
I could do all of the above. I'm up for that.
cool.
Yeah.
God,
All right.
you got to remember, I volunteered in that radio station for almost 12 years. When we went through a lot of music in 12 years.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a DJ, but I never knew how to break into the business. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, well,
it was either DJ or own a coffee shop / comic book shop, and I never did any of that. But I can live vicariously through you guys.
yeah, I wouldn't say I really broke into the business. It was just, we just showed up.
Sometimes that's what it takes. If you're
Yeah.
willing to show up, things will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're almost at the hour mark, guys. Anything you guys got going on your channels you want to plug?
No, because I think we're good. I'm just a jerk with some toys, and I talk about them sometimes. And I'll be traveling next week, so or this week because this is
Right.
when this
This is
live,
pre-recorded. So
I'll be on the
you'll-
road. So just guys, keep the playlists coming. I can't get enough of them. This is a lot of fun, and it's great to just spend FaceTime with some new and interesting people, and ever expand that intimate playlist. So thank you for that.
Will's being modest, but on Sundays, check out the 1/8 team because it's groovy. If you like the 1/18th scale, if you like O-ring and old school, it's a place to be. And there's even some new stuff coming out.
Robert, you want to come on and talk about some of your old Joes or
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We can always hang out and talk about that stuff.
Okay.
That'd
Yeah.
be pretty cool.
All right.
And-
Yeah, I'll be there.
well,
118. Is that
1/8 team.
okay? I'll remember that.
And Robert's got some reviews on his channel for some Marvel Legends and wrestling guys and a little bit of everything. So please check those out. They're fun.
Yeah, me and Big Bacon do a live every other week, usually on Tuesday. The next
Oh,
one's
Big
going to be
Big Bacon. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was featured heavily on the Hella Dope podcast last Sunday.
Yep.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's come up with some great ideas. Our next one is we're going to have the best and worst crossovers of all time.
Awesome.
Nice.
My
That's
wife
a
has
fun
told
discussion.
my wife has told me that, of course, Scooby-Doo, it crossing over into anything from Laurel and Hardy
Oh,
on
yeah.
up to Supernatural is greatest.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Oh my God. I was afraid you were going to say the worst. I was like,
Oh no.
the Scooby-Doo
Those are awesome.
crossovers.
I would not survive the onslaught if I said that.
Well, we'll look
I
forward
kid,
to
of
that.
course. Okay.
We've
sounds fun.
at least for me, I've been recently introduced to Big Bacon's channel. I just subscribed, and I'm having fun watching some of the stuff from the back catalog. You guys do some interesting stuff there, so very cool.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
So I will release you back into the wild. We will catch you on your channel and hopefully back here in the lounge sometime in the near future. Everybody at home, check out this playlist and all the playlists because they're all cool. We don't bring you anything that isn't cool, except us, because we're just a couple of knuckleheads. But hope everybody enjoyed this. Yeah,
have a great day.
Thank you guys. This has been so much fun.
You're very welcome. If I can find the right button, I'll play us out.
All right.
I think it's that one. Oh, not that one. Not the red button.
Whoa.
See ya.